What's happening? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Animation Station, number one stop destination for anything and everything animation, including a certain sponge that lives in a pineapple under the sea. Well, this is it. This is the final episode review for pre-movie SpongeBob. What a journey it's been, huh? From our humble beginnings at SpongeBob Month 1, to the highs of SpongeBob Month 2, to the unexpected delay in between the first and second half of SpongeBob Month 3. And here we are at the final episode review for the golden era of the franchise, with a triple episode review. Unfortunately, my buddy Spider Phantom couldn't be here as initially planned because, well, he had plans himself, and, it's all good. But please go subscribe to his channel. He is an awesome dude, and I can't thank him enough for his help. So, with that all said, let's get these episode reviews out of the way before I get mushy. So, starting with Plankton's Army. In this episode, Plankton decides to ask his family for help to overwhelm Mr. Krabs after he fails to steal the Krabby Patty formula yet again. However, he doesn't remember that his family are a bunch of hillbillies. But he's able to find a way to make it work, and chaos ensues. This is an episode that I've jumped back and forth on for years now. Not between being good and bad. No, this is not a bad episode by any means of the definition or the term. No, as in, is this episode great, or is it just really good? Well, let's start with some highlights. Well, one highlight, I should say. My highlight for the episode is, in fact, the ending, because it's such a hilarious but super dark joke, and me being a horror nut, it kind of works even better for me now as a young adult who is super into dark humor and horror and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's my highlight of the episode. And the rest of it's pretty good, too. We have Mr. Krabs being held hostage in the toilet. We have Plankton apparently finally succeeding to get the Krabby Patty formula, only for him to realize that Krabs apparently eats plankton. Who knew? The reason, though, why I bounce back and forth between this being really good or outright great is because of the family themselves. Not that they're bad characters, they're just really one-note, generic, stereotypical, hillbillies that don't really have much character outside of, being cliche, generic, stereotypical hillbillies. So, that part, sometimes I can look past it, and other times it just bugs the absolute crap out of me. But looking at it now, I'm going to make a compromise with myself. That it's not quite great, but it's almost there. And thus, I'm going to give this episode a final verdict of a 7.5 out of 10. It is a really good episode, almost great, but it's just a little too cliche, and has a few little things that bug me. But the Sheldon joke will always be amazing. As overdone as it is. Okay, let's move on to our next episode, SpongeBob Meets the Strangler. Welcome to the most frustrating episode in all of Season 3. This episode had so much potential, and yet it feels like all of it was thrown down the toilet. And this is another one I also confused for a post-movie episode, because it has that kind of writing, that kind of plot, that kind of, essence to it. It doesn't feel like it came from pre-movie. But it did. And unfortunately, it's one of the most forgettable episodes of SpongeBob I've ever sat through. Now, yes, it has one really good highlight, which is the time percentage gag and the way it comes back around during the story when they talk about a surprise party. But the biggest thing that destroys this episode here is SpongeBob himself. He is so out of character stupid. Like, frustratingly out of character stupid. Like, he can't see through a fake mustache. He can't see that this is very clearly Strangler in disguise. And he's so boneheaded in this episode that even Patrick seems smarter than him. Oh, and speaking of Patrick, he does have a great moment in this episode where the Strangler calls him out as the Strangler, and he goes to turn himself in running through SpongeBob's wall instead of using the door. Which is funny. That part is legitimately funny. And the Strangler himself is not a bad character, but it just feels like they could have done so much more with this plot, and so much of it just got left on the table. It's a very frustrating episode, to say the least. And not only because of SpongeBob's bonehead stupidity, but the fact that this feels like a season 6 or 7 episode, where it's so generic, stuffed with filler, and just has such a horrible pacing problem. Like, it is so slow and repetitive. Like, it is so bad. Now, granted, I know most people, well, some people, not most, can look past this and still enjoy the episode anyway. And more power to you if you can, but me, I just can't. This episode isn't bad, but it rides that fine line of being so. So, for that reason, it is a 4 out of 10 for the final verdict. It is below average, very mediocre, completely forgettable, and just one of the worst episodes of this whole season. Just bad. The frustrating episode. Okay, we got all that done. Now it's time to move on to the final episode of pre-movie SpongeBob. Pranks a lot. Well, this is it. Pranks a lot. The final episode of pre-movie SpongeBob. Yes, Sponge Who Could Fly technically is the last one because it was treated like a big grand finale and even aired long after this episode, but according to the actual episode order on both the DVDs and the Encyclopedia SpongeBobia, this is the final episode of pre-movie SpongeBob. And it's a great one to go out on. So, I'm going to be in full face cam for this one because I have a very long, mushy speech to say after I finish actually reviewing the episode. So, let's get to it. In this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick buy invisible spray from a prank shop owner named Frank. And at first they want to spray the park bench and sit on it, but then they end up fighting over it and turning each other invisible. And they decide to have a better prank and spook the entire Bikini Bottom and pretend that they're ghosts. Which is a funny concept in of itself, but it's so well executed here and so funny. Yes, it does feel like this was made for a cutback on animation because since SpongeBob and Patrick are invisible, they don't have to draw them on every single frame. But even with that, I love and cherish this episode a lot. Not only is it a fantastic way for SpongeBob's pre-movie golden era to go out, but it's just an all-around great episode. I have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 highlights to talk about here. The first one, well, the nerve of that guy and his driving eyeballs. Like, it's such a goofy gag, but it works so well. And then the second one, since when did I acquire all these portraits of Patrick? Like, that part always gets me. It's so funny. another super iconic, hilarious one-note gag from SpongeBob's history. And then the third one is when everyone's screaming ghosts, and then you have the one guy that just goes, "Toast!" Oh, that part just gets me every time. It's so funny. And then the final one, the lengths they go to scare Mr. Krabs. Like, it is so good, the lengths that they go to. They glue the door shut, they replace all the glass with rubber, and even go so far as to clog all the friggin' toilets. And then they also use scissors and cut Mr. Krabs' little paddle ball that he was using as a defense weapon, which is out of character for him, but I'm willing to let it slide because it's funny. And then when they go to burn Krabs' dollar, that's when Krabs throws water on them, washing the paint off, and revealing them as nude. And then Mr. Krabs at first acts like, well, you know what, we had a good laugh. Go ahead and get on home before someone sees you nude. And then it turns out that he was just luring them into a false sense of security, and their nude parts are showed through to everyone as payback. And it's funny. It is so funny. It's such a great episode. I can't say it's a classic, though, because it, again, does feel like there was some obvious animation cutbacks, and that there were a few parts that probably could have been cut out, but minor little inconveniences. And the plot does seem like it stalls a little bit when it gets to Mr. Krabs, because it has such a long build-up, only to have like 2 or 3 minutes later for them to have him completely spooked and all of his armor gone. But really just minor complaints. It's a great episode of SpongeBob. It's a great one to go out on for the pre-movie era, and it is an easy 8 out of 10. Great episode. Absolutely highly recommended if you haven't seen it already. Well, that's it. We have gone through every episode of SpongeBob Season 3. We have reviewed every single episode from the golden pre-movie era of the franchise. And looking back now, like, all 3 of these seasons still hold up really well. This one was the one that started it all, and will always be cherished by many people, myself included, for that. This is SpongeBob's peak, and this will always be the best season of the entire show. Not even a contest. And then this, well, it was definitely starting to show signs of it falling down the toilet bowl. It still had more than its fair share of great and good episodes, and still an overall great season of the show. A bit overrated, but it's still a great season. And really, all 3 of these seasons are classic. Sure, you may have some duds in there that are just okay, or bad, or one episode that's outright trash, but that's really it. Outside of that, you have so many classic episodes, so many memorable moments, so many memorable gags, and it was all made because of the man that is Stephen Hillenburg. He made this show to help teach kids and adults about marine biology, while also entertaining the audience with sharp writing, great gags, amazing concepts, and just really distinct animation. And I'm always going to hold this show and these 3 very close to my heart. Like, I'm pretty sure most SpongeBob fans that grew up back in this time period did. Was I a bit late to the party because I was born in 2001? Yes. Absolutely, I was late to the party. But I still got plenty of reruns of Season 1. I pretty much sat through all of Season 2 as a young kid, as this and Blue's Clues were pretty much my obsession back then. And then season 3, I still have the fondest of memories for. So, yeah. Wherever Stefan is now, I can't thank him enough for this. We can't all thank him enough for this. Heck, we've been trying for years, how many years, to try and get Sweet Victory to be played at the actual Super Bowl. And they just never do it. Hopefully it happens one day, because Stefan deserves only the greatest of tributes known to man. We love you, bud. And even 4 years later, we still miss you. And we're going to be holding SpongeBob close to our hearts, no matter what happens next. Right? Most of all, thank you to all of you for watching. If you guys didn't keep watching these videos, or kept supporting, or kept leaving your thoughts and opinions, I probably would have just stopped after season 1. But instead, you guys kept watching, and you got to go on this journey with me. And that's something I'm never going to forget. You guys are all amazing, and I can't thank you all enough for going on this journey with me. Sorry. Getting sappy. But, seriously, just thank you for everything, guys. Thank you for everything. Thank you for keeping this series alive, pretty much. Because if it weren't for you, this would have been the only one I talked about. But because of your love and your support and your views, we got to keep going. And going. And we're just gonna keep on going. Because we have so many SpongeBob seasons left to look at. And while we are getting close to the dark era of this series, I'm still thankful that SpongeBob has been around for as long as he has. And I can't thank Stefan enough. I can't thank him enough. I can't thank the voice acting team enough. I can't thank the crew enough for continuing to put out more and more of this show. Even after Stefan passed on to the great gig in the sky, the team's still working hard to continue his legacy. That is SpongeBob. It is his legacy, and it's something we are never going to forget anytime soon. It is iconic. It is unforgettable. It is the cultural phenomenon that was, is, and always will be SpongeBob SquarePants. I love this series with all my heart, and I'm never going to stop watching. Seriously, thank you guys for watching, and I know that saying like, share, subscribe, whatever, just makes me sound like a needy turd, but seriously, it's your subscriptions, it's your likes, it's your comments that keep this channel going. If I didn't have all 610 of you guys, I would have quit doing this a long time ago. But you guys continue to support and watch every video I put out, and have just given me an outlet to, to share my thoughts on this medium that I love so much and that is so close to my heart. Whether I was a young kid, a teenager, or now a young adult, animation will always be special to me. And I can't thank you guys enough for giving me an outlet to do so. But we're not done with Golden Era SpongeBob just yet. Because, as you guys know, Season 3 was not the end of what was supposed to be the entire series. There was still one more thing left to go. And it was this right here. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Probably one of the most beloved movies of all time. By animation critics, kids that grew up in this decade, and just anyone who's a fan of SpongeBob for that matter. So, tomorrow we're going to be taking a bit of a break from our spongy friend because Harley Quinn decided to drop a Valentine's Day special, so we're going to look at that. And then, on Valentine's Day, we will review the first SpongeBob movie. And then with that, we'll end the golden era of the series. And then, after that, in June of this year, we'll finally talk about one of my personal favorite seasons of the series. Season 4. This is the one that I remember the most fondly as a kid. And even now. So, yep. Well, this is the end of the SpongeBob episode reviews for now. Just want to say it's been a journey, and I can't thank you all enough for being on this journey with me. So, yep, that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please, if you have the time to spare, like, share, subscribe, comment, hit the bell. Do all that algorithmic garbage that keeps this channel growing. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Harley Quinn special. So, until then, thanks for watching. I'm Jack Small of Animation Station. Go Birds, and take care.